Yo, what's poppin', guys? Coming at you with that super heavy samurai Zefra Tellar deck list, and I got some nifty replays to show you guys. So, since we're mixing up three different archetypes, I'm gonna have to explain the benefits and the drawbacks instead of running just two of them. So, if we're gonna compare it to super heavy samurai Zefras, it's not really the same type of deck. It's more of a Tellar Knight deck that's using the Super Heavies and the Zefras. So we would have to compare it to Zefra Tellars and SHS Tellars. So compared to Zefra Tellars, it's just a lot stronger because we have the additional power that we get off of the Super Heavies. And compared to Super Heavy Teller, we're also running the Zephyras, which just gives us more combo potential. We get to abuse Oracle, we get access to a counter trap. The main criticism I've heard is that you don't have the deck space for hand traps, and therefore the deck is trash going second, which is just wrong. As you can see, we're running a ton of hand traps here. We have, what is it, 15 copies? Looks like it, yeah. And because we're going over 50, we're actually still at a good engine to hand trap ratio. We also have additional engines that can bait out choke points or something, or just force interruption, which also is really nice to push through that when you're going first here. And going over 40 cards isn't actually bad at all for this type of deck. So a lot of 40 card purists out there just swear by it, saying every deck needs to be 40 cards. That simply isn't true. There are reasons to go for 40, like if you need to find specific cards like Mathematic Circular, or you need a specific two-card combo. I don't know off the top of my head, something like Moye plus a worm or something, I guess. You would really like to go down to 40 since your chance of seeing specific cards is a lot higher. However, we don't really care about specific cards in this type of build, since we have a plethora of 2 to 4 card combos that we can just go for. So going over the 40 cards isn't actually detrimental to us. It's actually beneficial as well, since we get to slap in more power cards into our deck. And the bricks that we have aren't as likely to show up in our hand. It's the same thing if you really, really want to see circular, you want to run 40 cards so you can see your specific card more often. And if you really, really don't want to see side frame gear driver, you don't run 40 cards, so you don't see the driver as often. That's basically the gist of it here. Just going through the deck list real quick. We have the normal Zephyr package, Zephyrath, Oracle, Providence. We're going to run the counter trap here as well. Um, and we're going to have 3 Thubins because we are on the Tellar Knights variant, as well as the Zephyr Core, which just gives us the full Tellar combo off of any 2 of the Zephyras. For the super heavies, we're going to be running the motorbike, 3 Wakaushi, and we're only on 1 Big Benkei since I don't want to see that card ever. And we're going to be running 1 Soul Gaia booster as an extender. You can tell we're not actually running the crossbow or the Link 1 because we don't need it. It doesn't actually mesh with the deck as well. You just lose harder to stuff like Droll. And we don't actually have the extra deck space to accommodate all the payoffs for it either. For the Teller Knights, we're running 1 Deneb. You can definitely run 2 if you want to, but 1 is just enough. We're gonna run 2 Altair. This card is cracked. You really need it just for like in the combo for the follow up, and it really helps with your grind game between Altair, Sirius, and double Caduceus. You can just infinitely keep grinding out your deck. So 2 of this is definitely the correct call. Vega, just at 1 in this variant. Same for Unuk. Sirius, you always run 1 anyways. Of course, you have our copy of Alteran. And then we're going to be running 3 Lyran here. Pretty huge card. If you find it, it's great. It combos with any of your other Teller cards, even with a Thuban. Um, we're going to be on 1 of the continuous spell, but you could run 2 if you wanted to. And we're going to run 1 Skybridge just as an additional extra search off of the Lyran if we do open it. And for our hand traps, we have Droll, probably the best hand trap in this format aside from Maxi, which is broken, and also the reason for us running the Ash. Gamma is pretty nice. We don't have an actual like in-engine payoff for it. We can just use it as link material here. for the Dagda or the Apo, but it doesn't actually do much by itself. I don't think that most people should be playing into Gamma in the first place, so there might be an argument to cut this as well. And we're also a Nib, which most decks can actually play around it kind of fine. I'm very much considering playing Crow instead. Um, and then for our payoffs for the deck, we're also on the Spell Canceller here, which just negates all spell cards, and the Artifact Scythe. Now, something you might be wondering is why we're actually playing so many spell and trap cards, even though we're playing super heavy samurai. Um, Dorota, I can understand, but you can just not use it until you've resolved all your super heavy effects. This stays on the field. This stays on the field. This can banish itself from the graveyard. And then we have the Skybridge and the Divine Strike. But you really want to see the super heavies turn one and then use those to combo. And then afterwards, they don't really matter anymore because you should be like winning anyways at that point. So I don't think it actually has that much anti-synergy. Something like Called By would give you a ton of anti-synergy. I think that's definitely not correct to run that if you're playing super heavies, because you think it'll protect you from hand traps, and then it actually just turns off your combo. For the extra deck, it's basically just standard Tellarknight stuff here. We have the Deltaros, Ptolemaeus, the double Caduceus, the Pleiades for a bounce. The diamond can come up. It has some nifty effects. You can non-once per turn detach material to negate a dark monster's effect and destroy it. This includes in the hand or graveyard or wherever it is. And it has the secret effect that while it has material, neither player can send cards from the deck to the graveyard, and any card that returns from the graveyard to the hand is banished instead. Um, you can actually hurt yourself doing this, so be a bit careful. But you don't usually summon it. The main reason I have it in here is because it's a Stellar Knight, which you need for Ptolemaeus. You can only attach Stellar Knights, no just Stellar Knights, like this one, and no Satellar Knights either, or Dark Teller Knights. So it has to specifically be a Stellar Knight, and this is just the best one. Of course, we have the M7 to rank up into. Um, we have the Gaga Magician to help us loop the Deltaros again. And because we're running so many Exceeds, we're going to be running the Zeus, of course. For our Link lineup, we're on the Isolde. You can also run the bricks if you want, but I don't think it's worth it. You'll see here, you don't actually need them. And the main point of running it is you get to link off the Deltaros for its effect, and then you get to chain block it by searching your follow-up. Dagda is just the easiest way to get a massive floodgate. You just auto win against pretty much everything that isn't lab. If you go first, you make it just for free, even through disruption, and then you just win because you have an in-engine way of popping this. Um, if you are going second, you can break their board, and then because Teller Knights have issues killing, because you lock yourself into attacking with only Teller Knights or with only Exceeds, you can just break their board and then set up a scythe block. They have to pass back, and you just kill them on the turn afterwards. We have Apo. It's just free to make, free negates. Why wouldn't you make it? And we have the Goddess here to out towers because we have no other way. If they make like a Final Sigma or something, you're kind of screwed. Have fun. For a synchro, it's Baron. We make it off the super heavy engine with Wakaushi plus Zefra. This will also trigger the Oracle. If you guys want to see the main combo line, it's in my overview video. I'll link that in the description. And there's like two main combos that show off how that really works. Otherwise, you're not making it really. So there's no value in putting stuff like the Axel Stardust Synchro Dragon in either. And we also have the Dugaras here, which is part of the combo to bring back the Spell Canceller. You don't need to use this. I chose the Spell Canceller plus Dugaras payoff because I don't have Regulus, and I think this is just a stronger payoff. You can either draw into it and then discard something else and then use your normal summon for this because you haven't spent your normal summon yet in a lot of your combos. But in case you do have to use your normal summon, you can just add this and then discard it, and then Dugaris will bring it back since we have a ton of level 4 bodies to get into that. All right, so let's jump right into the replays. I have some of the combo variations, and then I have some where my hand is a bit scuffed. It goes a bit into the grind state, and I show off the free flow nature of the deck where you can just make up some combos on the fly and abuse some nifty little interactions. First replay, we're gonna have a fairly decent hand. It gets us there for sure. We even get the Zefra here. We get to search for the counter trap. That's pretty nice. And it's just going to be more or less the basic stuff here. We're going to go into Caduceus. It's important to clear your extra monster zone of non-warrior monsters here so we can go into Isolde later on. And the Zephyr Core is a rock. So that's what we have to use. Hem definitely doesn't matter if you use the Append or the Sirius here though. Now we're going to go into Deltaros for Isolde. I'm going to chain block it in case they want to like Ash Blossom us here or something. I'm just going to go straight into an Apo here. And now we're going to go into a Gaga Magician. This will let us recycle a Deltaros again, and then we can link these two off for our Dagda. Get to abuse the Deltaros even more here. I'm going to summon out the Unuk off the Vega to get our Alteran into rotation. I'm going to make sure not to summon it back because we can't actually remove it from the field anymore, and we need it in the graveyard. So when we activate the Ptolemaeus for Pleiades, it'll come back and pop the Scythe for us. Now, I was playing against a lot of Scareclaw this day, or week even, which is why I put everything in attack position so I don't get punished by the Reichphobia. Normally I'd put the stuff in defense position. Now, it's important here that you toggle on before they go to battle phase. Since as soon as he like declares the attack, we're gonna get screwed. So we're just going to Pleiades to balance the Scare Cache. It can only special summon itself during the main phase, and the special effect is also a once per turn. So we're just gonna get rid of that so he doesn't go ahead and negate my Appaloosa. He's still locked under Scythe, so it's not like he can actually do anything here. And we get to even keep our counter trap. We're gonna lead in the draw phase with Pleiades bouncing a back row, a random one, and his Crackdown. So I actually googled this during the game. When this card takes a monster, it'll stay on the field because it's a continuous trap, right? So it's a continuous effect to take control of the monster. So I almost got baited into using my Divine Strike to negate it. However, since he takes the Appaloosa and then the card leaves the field on resolution of the chain because of the Pleiades, right? And then it's no longer on the field, so the continuous effect to take my monster is gone, and I get back my Appaloosa. So that's why I didn't Divine Strike it here, because I googled this interaction. That means we still have an Omni Negate to push through whatever is here. One of them's probably a bait or something. And we definitely have to negate this, because we know that he has a Kashtira monster in his hand. We know it's the Scare Cache and Crackdown in hand right here. So we're going to negate this so we can't body block with it. And the last card is just a bluff, so we get to swing for game here. Alright, in this one, our hand is also just the full combo, fortunately. We have Gamma here, which is really nice because we have a lot of hand trap choke points before we control monsters. So right here, they could have ogred the Zephyr, they could have ashed us, they could have drolled us and everything. But our opponent is actually smart and playing around the Gamma. It's very important, especially in this format. They would have gotten super punished otherwise. We still have the Ash anyway, so it doesn't actually matter. Again, we just open a ton of hand traps and full combo again. So it's really not an issue that we're running the Zephyrs in here. And we're just going to go for pretty much just a normal combo here. Link this off for Isolde. Use the search to chain block the Ash here as well. Go straight into Dagda. And then going to search for our Unuk here. Summon it out. And now we get to link all these guys off for Appaloosa. We're going to use the end phase effect of Ptolemaeus to attach. And now we get to just pop Scythe in the draw phase off of the Alteran here. have an Omni, 3 monster negates, and they can't use their extra deck in addition to us having a bounce. So I don't feel threatened by this at all. No point in using Apple at any point. They can't actually put up anything that threatens my board because I do still have the bounce and they can't use their extra deck. So I'm just going to use a ton of effects here. I'm going to negate the search here. And at the end of main phase, I'm going to actually nib the board and then bounce back the Constellar Tellar Knights for the revive. Now, the reason I'm doing this is the disadvantage of Tellar Knights, where you get locked out of attacking. And this just clears the board for me very easily, very quickly. They can't do anything threatening, and I have the follow-up here because I do have the Thuban and the continuous spell here. Going to bring back the Alteran, which locks me to attacking with only Exceed monsters, but I can use non-Tellar Knights at least to attack. Sirius here is going to go grab a bunch of stuff back and use the Thuban to just pop his token here. And find the Lyran. We still have a normal summon as well, and they're just going to scoop it up here. We also have Dugaris to double our attack here and everything, so we're going to find lethal here. Alright, in this game we open full combo, an extender and a hand trap, going against Black Wings here. And they're going to actually search for the Orochi. So what this tells us here is they already have like everything else they need, right? They have Zutri, they probably have like Shamal or Vata already, since you would search all of those before you search for Orochi. But we're gonna draw anyways. No reason really not to. And they would just resolve a ton of extra searches otherwise. And they do have talents. And the funny thing is here, they can't draw, obviously, and they can't take away my monsters, so they're going to look at my hand. And it doesn't actually matter, because we have full combo regardless, since we have 2 super heavy starters. We also have the Thuban and the Zefrath. Yeah, so it really doesn't matter at all what they do. Just going to play a little bit, put up some disruption, honestly pretty respectable. They get an Abyss out, and they get the Tax Dragon out. They don't get any follow-up here by searching because of roll though. But it's really not the worst board state. They're going to bring back the Black Feather Whirlwind. It'll get banished in the end phase anyways, and they'll get burned. And then Zephyros doesn't have any targets to come back anyway, so this at least helps them like block and stuff, right? So we're going to draw another Thuban. And of course they're going to negate Wakaushi. That's just too broken. But it's probably a mistake. Now we get out 3 Thubans, which is hilarious. Pop his only other disruption he has. And now we get to go to town on him here. Deltaros has the secret effect of actually popping a card by detaching material, which we're going to use here to just beat that guy up. And again, we have the issue of actually finding lethal, but it doesn't really matter here, since we can just set up a crazy board. We know he has Black Roland in hand. He has nothing in the graveyard that's like relevant at all to us. He can't summon out another Assault Dragon here because he doesn't have the requirements for it in the graveyard. So we're just gonna swing for some damage here and then just keep playing main phase 2. Use the Gaga Magician to loop again, and then we'd make an Appaloosa here as well, and then just Scythe lock him. So it's completely unwinnable from here, even though we couldn't swing for lethal. Now, of course, the quality of my hand was pretty crazy in all the other games, so I'm going to show a game where it's actually not that good. We're going to get Max Seed here on the Providence, and I opt not to Gamma it, since there isn't really much we could do, honestly. With this hand, we have the Benkei and Zefrath would let me summon out a 6, or just, yeah, a4 or something, and then we would have the Gamma on field if I used it for another 2 and a 6. But there's nothing really that gives me much value. We could have prayed very hard by using some Oracle shenanigans, but there's not even like a synchro payoff really that we could have gone for. So I just don't think it's worth playing here. We have 3 hand traps. We have like some semblance of follow up, and they basically just hand rip themselves here. So yeah, they can't play the game either. So this game is going to evolve into slightly awkward grind state. I decided to just play here. Soul Booster is probably the only super heavy card I didn't want to see from my deck here, but it is what it is. It's enough anyways. This gets us into our rank 4, so we can use Caduceus to start playing the game a little bit here. Is what I would say if I didn't get Solemn Judgmented here. So that's kind of awkward. We don't get any of the effects here, so we just have to pass it back. We still have 3 hand traps, so I feel pretty safe. And they're still bricking. Getting heavily punished for running the Solemn Judgment. Not really good unless you're playing like actual back row, in my opinion. And we're gonna start going for just a bunch of follow up at least if they do have a chance to stop us here. We have the counter trap in case they try to pull some other shenanigans, and we have the Constellar Tellar Knights. I activate it like a fool. Um, what I wasn't thinking about was basically I was thinking I could just bring back the Tellar Knight Constellar Caduceus, but it wasn't properly summoned because the summon was negated. So what Solemn Judgment did was basically make it so I never summoned this card, so I basically sent it straight from my extra deck to the graveyard because it never hit the field. And that means it's not a legal revive target. And then the Shadow Zephyr Core also isn't a Tellar Knight, so I can't bring that back either. Uh, Super Heavy Samurai obviously also isn't, and the Lyran just hit the graveyard when I linked off into the Dagda. After activating this, I should have definitely done it other in the other order, where I summon the Dagda first, and then I can bring back the Lyran off the continuous spell for another body, and I run right into a Dragon Maid. So that's pretty awkward. Yeah, I was hoping to at least trigger the Dagda to get the Scythe out of my deck so I don't draw into it. They're not activating any effects either. Fortunately, I don't draw it. Unfortunately, it's a maxi though. So we're gonna use Zephyrath just to trigger it. Don't really have a way to play here. We don't have any spell cards that want to activate, so I don't care about my zones being clogged right now. Because the Scythe will be destroyed during the end phase of the next turn. So they're gonna use Parlor here as well as Welcome. And they're gonna go tag out, which gives me some nice draws off the maxi. Hoping I'll draw into something playable here. Gonna be an Ash Blossom. And they're gonna actually special summon again here, which gives me a name. And as you can see, the Scythe gets popped here. And now this is where the line gets really cursed. But this is what's really fun about these combo decks. We unfortunately draw the driver, but we're actually going to Pendulum Summon out the Ash Blossom and the Maxi. I'm gonna use the Thuban here to pop his monster, protect our Zephyr with the Providence. Altair brings out the Lyran, and here we're going to actually synchro the Ash, Maxi, and Scythe into a Baron. This is the most disgusting and vile thing I've seen in my entire life, but it was really hilarious. And now we can use these two to just go into our second copy of Caduceus, and this is just a super winning game state. We have 2 Omnis, he has 2 back row. You can probably ignore some of them. And we get to use Caduceus here to actually copy the Thuban's effect again, so we can destroy his other monster too. We're gonna use Baron to pop his back row. Turns out it was a bluff here. Just rank up into the M7. And then we're gonna use the continuous spell to rank back down to Deltos, giving us another pop. And we're just gonna completely dismantle his entire board here. And we get to swing for game here since we were locked into Tellar Knight attacks and not into Exceed only attacks. And they already paid half the life points with the Solemn Judgment. Alright, here we're going to show off an incredibly cursed line. So this hand is trivially just full combo, right? Yeah, we're going to Gamma his Droll here. And instead of just going for the normal full combo, I thought it would be fun to try to actually abuse Oracle in this game. Because there is a way to get both Oracle effects to stack and to draw here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off fairly normally. Gonna grab the Zefra here. And this is going to let us summon out all of these guys right here. And now in order to stack the top card of our deck, we're going to Synchro Summon here into a Baron using a Zephyr card. And that's going to let us stack a card on top of our deck, which is our Spell Canceller. And now we're actually going to use the Zefra and the Driver to hard make the M7. And since Zefra is a Zephyr, we get to draw a card and discard a card, which is the Spell Canceller. And now since we actually hard made the M7, we can actually use its effect. Because normally if you summon it by overlaying onto a Constellar, the following effect cannot be activated this turn, but we hard made it, so we get to actually detach 1 material here. and then return a monster from the field or graveyard to the hand. So you get to get back to Spell Canceller. We still have our normal summon, and we're going to just tribute summon it and set our counter trap. So no spells and 2 Omnia Gates. And we get Kaiji right off the bat. So this is already kind of awkward. I'm going to summon the Spiral Gear Drone, giving us some horrible top deck that I really don't want to have. Then they go into the Anima off of this, and they just take the Gamma Seal, which I don't want because that gets them an out to Spell Canceller. They can just be over it then. And they already committed their normal summon, so without spell cards, it's going to be very hard for them to play here. Which is also why I keep it after I get evenly matched here. Now for turn, we're going to draw into our Unuk, which I have no clue why they gave us that. Unuk's pretty good, honestly. Just gonna poke for a bit of damage here, and pass back. And our opponent's pretty reliant on spell cards here and can't really do much, so they're just going to surrender. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you liked the replays. I hope you learned something and that I got to show off effectively how we get to use some of the cards in interesting ways. That's what I think is the most fun part about the deck, is just the creativity that it offers. Um, I'm going to be playing some more awkward decks while I climb back up to Master, starting in Gold. I'll probably make another Tindangle video. That was pretty fun, even though I was atrocious at it. So stay tuned for that. I'll definitely be pumping out some more Zephyr content once I reach maybe Plat or Diamond. I think it's kind of too strong to play in the lower ranks. It's kind of a waste of being in the lower ranks. Um, so we'll come out more towards the end of the month. If you guys want to see any decks or any variations of any decks, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And let me know if you if you prefer shorter videos rather than the longer ones. And maybe I'll try to adapt or just put out some shorter ones as well. All right, thanks for watching.